It's the Dad Vlogs. Sit on back, relax, and enjoy. Share, comment, subscribe. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's XXXDEADHEAD, and today we're going to talk about motorcycle risk. I'm going to kind of just explain it using what I have learned so far from my studies of statistics. I'm basically a statistics major, statistical analysis. I'm not going to go into anything too detailed as far as, I'm not going to try to pop out statistics for you or give you any exact probabilities. I'm just going to talk to you about the basic concepts of it so you have a better idea of what actual risk is. Mainly, it'll just give you the ammunition to be able to discuss with other people that, that don't ride, that tell you motorcycle riding is unsafe. It is 32 times more dangerous than driving a car, and so on and so forth. All those things are just not necessarily true. So we're going to talk about those things here in a bit. First off, thank you so much for all the amazing comments on the last video for Are You a Biker? The video response for Harley Man. I got a lot of really good comments, and wow, all I can say is wow. What a difference a word can make. And it's just amazing to me, the power of that word. It means so many different things to so many different people. And then to some, their environment doesn't even distinguish a difference. Their environment is completely different. And this kind of relates, if you will, to the motorcycle risk that's involved as I ride home. The main point here is that each of us has risk, and before I even got on my bike, I already was at risk of a fatality, right? I could have had a heart attack at any point. There could have been an earthquake. There could have been all kinds of different variables that would have posed a risk on my health, my livelihood, my life, however you want to say it. Where to begin? Well, it rained earlier today. So you have to understand that I already have these basic risks. I could have a heart attack while riding my bike. There could be an earthquake while I'm riding my bike. So that fluctuating probability of risk, of fatality, still exists. No matter whether I'm on the bike or off the bike, if I'm sleeping, if I'm in a bunker somewhere 600 feet underground, and it's secured and run by sanitized robots, there's always going to be a generic risk. And then whatever environmental risks you have. So my belief is this, that any given moment, my risk is in a constant state of flux. Like right now, I might be at a relatively low rate of risk as far as fatalities are concerned. Right there, I might have raised my risk a little bit. Not much. The fact that it rained added some percentage, and it's all these things, all these multipliers, like how wet is the ground? How much rain stuck to it? What's the temperature, and how does that affect the viscosity of the rain on the ground? What kind of pavement was used? Where's the runoff points? I mean, every given inch or every given foot is going to offer a different modifier just based upon how the water's flowing, how it's collected oil. I mean, I'm at a stop red light. So that a lot of cars sit here on busy days and drop a lot of oil. So I'm at more of a risk of slipping and falling and breaking my neck or bleeding out. I mean, it might sound unrealistic to you. It might definitely sound unrealistic to you, but the point here is that there is still a risk. I guess a better way to put it is that you're never going to be not at risk, whether you're on the bike or off. And you're never going to, until that split second where you can no longer adjust for getting yourself out of a fatal moment. At that point, you have 100% probability, I guess. But you still can't determine it until the actual moment has occurred, right? Like I could theoretically be at this point where I'm about to get in a wreck and there's nothing I can do about it, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to die. Let me shift lanes here. pipes, people definitely hear those on the freeway. I've seen the effects of it. So, not in all cases, but in most cases, my louder pipes subtract some of the risk of fatality. My gloves, my jacket, my pants, which I'm just wearing jeans, my motorcycle boots, all of those subtract to some level. I would argue that all the items I just listed there subtract very little. My helmet is a significant decrease to my risk of fatality, as a lot of the fatalities occur from traumatic brain injury. So I guess the question really comes down to, you know, I mean, we're all going to agree that motorcycles are unsafe, but when compared to what, right? Like, if I was driving a car under the same circumstances right now, I just would be safer as far as risk of fatality goes. Now, if I'm worried about risk of looking bad or looking stupid, then I guess that would be a greater risk in one of these cages than I would be on the motorcycle. So it all comes down to how you're evaluating risk, what you're comparing that risk to. Now, if you are willing to ride, as an example, you're willing to ride with no concerns to risk whatsoever. You don't care about your risk of fatality. You don't care about your risk of making a style faux pas, whatever the word is. If you don't care about your risk of damaging your jeans or putting mileage on your bike, you care about no risk whatsoever, then you have no incentive at that point to do anything other than what you want. And so even at that point, you would have no incentive to put gear on unless that gear was to protect you from the heat or the cold. And so chances are good you're not going to wear gear. So here's the kind of the clincher here. The majority, and I'm going to repeat this, the majority of people on Earth are risk averse, meaning they would like to avoid risk if at all possible. And they're willing to pay a cost to not have risk. They're willing to wear full leathers. They're willing to pay that cost to have as minimized of risk as possible. And I guess I'll go this way today. Why not? It worked for me last time. And so, again, now I'm in drier conditions. The roads have dried up a bit more, but it is getting darker. So, putting, an exact number, like your probability, and computing your exact probability at any given moment is just ridiculous. All you can do is just plan ahead, plan for the best, try to reduce your risk as much as possible, and that's really all you can do. Now, a lot of the statistics that have been given to us are dated statistics, right? Oh, I don't want to go there. Or yeah, let's go this way. I'll stand up there. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of the statistics are dated. They're taken back in the 80s with the Hurt report. That was the mid-70s, if I'm not mistaken. Early 80s, maybe, to compute all the information. But that's quite, that's dated. That's very, very dated. Since that time, the rates of motorcycle riders in the United States that take the MSF course, do some basic training, have gone up dramatically. And then also the rates of people taking advanced courses has also risen dramatically. The number of people wearing helmets has risen. I mean, there's a lot of factors that have gone into this. And, we can definitely minimize the risk. But when you're looking at a statistic, like if you ever see something that says, approximately 36, or motorcycles are approximately 36 times more dangerous than a car, well, that's kind of like a best guess of the population average. That's not your risk by any means, nor is it really applicable to you. Your risk is the risk you contain at any given moment in your environment that you find yourself in. So again, my risk has gone down dramatically, except for I have nobody behind me, right? So I still run some raised level of risk until I'm fully boxed in by cages, by cars. At that point, my risk is going to go down quite a bit. So It's always going to fluctuate, and I believe, mathematically, theoretically, no two people share the same risk, and I guess that's the basis of Ride Your Own Ride. We all have our own risk involved. How well we pay attention, how well we can see, how willing we are to wear the protective gear, how fast we're willing to go. Our skill level comes into play. There's just so many different, our actual physical health as far as our musculature. Musculature, I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying. We each have our own risk. And somebody can have ridden 10 years longer than you and actually be at more risk riding the same speeds. Confidence comes into play. All sorts of things come into play. Now, if you can be approached by a non-motorcycle rider that says, "Oh my God, you ride a motorcycle, that's unsafe, you crazy ass biker," you can easily now, I think, explain to them that you actually, based upon the things you do to minimize risk, you actually run a significantly lower level of risk than whatever they might be thinking about. I assure you, if they're thinking all motorcycles are dangerous, they're applying it to the population average. And that's my bike just like almost stalled. That's another thing. The maintenance, the more miles you put on your bike, the more potential your bike has to actually have mechanical failure. If it's a used bike and it's 12 years old, it most likely will have a higher probability of failure. Now, one thing to understand about probability, I don't mean to get too mathematical on you, but one thing to understand about probabilities is that they're more of a frequency than a indicator. And what I mean by that is you might shoot free throws 8 out of 10 times. You're able to get it through the hoop. The basketball goes through the hoop 8 out of 10 times, 80% of the time. This is a statistic, right? And like I said, a statistic of 80% of your shots go into the hoop. That's based on the population average. So all that means is that, the movie Groundhog's Day? Basically, if you were to repeat the same damn day over and over and over, except for you don't remember anything, you just keep repeating that same damn day, and every day you shoot 10 times and you write it down, and somehow that piece of paper where you're writing down, I did 3 shots today, I did 10 shots yesterday, whatever. If you add all those up and you've done it 100,000 times, the larger the number, the better. The amount of times that you've repeated the event, you're going to approach that 80%, that 8 out of 10 statistic, okay? So the probability is going to be based off of that, but it's just a probability. It's just a frequency of events over the course of the long run. So, if you hear these numbers, just understand that the probability is going to be a frequency. It's like how sound travels. It's going to ultimately approach that statistic, but our risk might be quite low, but it's still a risk. It might be a rare event for me to have a fatal accident. I would hope that for me a fatal accident is an extremely rare event. In fact, I'm hoping for it to be like in the thousandths or the 10,000ths of a percent category, to where it's just a complete outlier that I would not expect to see. And I think we all hope that. But like I said, some people are not so risk averse, whatever, and to each their own in that sense. So anyways, what's the craziest statistic that you have heard in your life? And what do you? Does this help you in any way? Does this give you a better understanding of how this risk is going to affect you? I know that it's, I'm approaching it from a very academic level, and I'm trying to convert all of that to just English, and so I know that it can be quite confusing in the concepts. But just to kind of summarize it for you and give you a baseline idea of what I'm saying is that at any given moment, no matter where you're at, on your motorcycle, you are going to have a different risk of whatever risk you're looking at for motorcycle riding. A risk to breaking a body part or a risk to your fatality. Those risks are all going to be different, and they're going to change by the millisecond, by the second. They're just going to fluctuate and change, and they're not going to be. You stand a better chance of not being around the population average. You're either going to be above it or below it, right? That population average is kind of the 50% draw, the cutoff point. So for some people, they might ride where they're 37 times more likely to be in an accident. Others might be 64 times more likely, and you might only be twice as likely. It all comes down to what you put into it. And the best things I can advise to reduce risk, if that's what you're looking for, is wear your full face helmet, run your daylights, and just observe the crap out of what's going around you, and be willing to drive or ride slower as opposed to faster. And if you can do those things, if you can manage those things, you are going to significantly lower your risk. And as always, I encourage you all, if you're going to be new to riding, or if you've been doing it for a while and you've never taken any type of training or any type of formal training, I highly recommend some type of, either the basic MSF course here in the States, or some type of advanced training. And that's actually something I'm planning on doing here shortly. I'd like to sign up for some advanced training on my bike, just the next step up, always a helpful thing. So anyways, that's my take on the topic. I hope that you enjoyed this series or enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos on the risks of motorcycle riding, just let me know, and I'd be more than happy to share what I understand. So anyways, guys, real quick, I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers that have showed up. I've had tons of new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the madness, as I have always said. And what else? Oh, yeah, of course. All the long-time subscribers. I love you long time. You know that. I'd have you all live with me if I could, but my wife says no. Anyways, that's it, guys. Take care. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out, and I said it right this time. Hallelujah.